It is week 18 of the NFL season, and it is the final week of the regular season. And there's a lot still up for grabs. Both number one seeds are still up for grabs. We have teams that are win and you're in. We have teams that need to win and need help, and other teams that are looking to play spoiler, and teams that are looking forward to next year, auditions to perhaps make a roster spot next season, and their incentives. Johnny Talk Sports here with my NFL Week 18 NFL predictions. Now, I'm going to do something that I never do. I'm going to predict the games that have nothing to do with the playoff race first. So I want to get those out of the way that won't affect the playoffs at all or don't even matter. So without further ado, let's get to the Week 18 NFL predictions. I'm starting things off with the Texans and the Colts because this game doesn't mean much. There's really no reason for anybody to watch this game. I'm just going to pick the Texans because they've been the team that has impressed me the most in these last few weeks. Even though the Texans, they have been on the losing end, they are at least putting in an effort to win games. And they did beat the Titans a couple of weeks ago. So I am picking the Texans. If I don't get this game right, it doesn't really matter to me. I could care less if I miss this game. It's a game where I unfortunately have to pick somebody to win. So I'll just pick the Texans. Panthers and the Saints. Now this is another tank bowl, and I don't know who to pick either. It's one where I unfortunately have to pick somebody to win, and I'll just pick the Saints. I don't know why. I feel like this is going to be a pretty low scoring game. Both teams run the football very well. Both teams have expressed they can run the football very well throughout this season, but I'm just going to go with the Saints. No particular reason. It's just a game where I unfortunately have to pick somebody to win. So if I miss this game, I don't really care that much because it's another game that nobody has any reason to watch. Buccaneers and Falcons. Now, this game also does not affect the playoff race. The Buccaneers have clinched the NFC South. The Falcons, for some reason, once they get eliminated from playoff contention, they start to win games for no reason. And going into last week, they were in position to have a top five pick in the draft. Now, it's been confirmed that the Buccaneers will be playing starters in this game, but the question is for how long. I imagine they're going to play at least the first half. The entire game, I really doubt it. But I think the Buccaneer starters will play just enough to win this game, so I am picking the Buccaneers. Bears and Vikings. Now, I'm going to go with the Vikings in this game, but I do want to point out that the Vikings have won, I believe, just about every game this season by one possession. It seems like the Vikings either win a game by one possession or they get blown out. So is this going to be the game we finally see the Vikings absolutely dominate from start to finish? Or is it going to be another close one score game? And it's also just a big speculation on will Justin Jefferson break the receiving yards record. I think he's going to be just a bit short of that record, but I think the Vikings will win this game. Chargers and Broncos. Now, I am not aware of if the Chargers are going to be playing their starters in this game. I think they might because I think there still is a little bit of incentive for them to play. For seeding purposes, they are going to be a wild card team, but it's either the fifth or sixth seed for the Chargers. So I do think their starters will play in this game, and I will pick the Chargers to win. As the Broncos, they are just looking forward to their season ending, but you got to at least give them some credit for going out there and competing against the Chiefs from start to finish. They made the game close. It was competitive from start to finish, but I am picking the Chargers. Up next, Cardinals and 49ers. I'm picking the 49ers to win this game. The Cardinals, they're looking forward to their season coming to an end. They started David Blau, the four-string quarterback, last week against the Falcons. And the big question for Arizona, will Cliff Kingsbury be the head coach after this game on Sunday? Because I do think that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be one of the victims on Black Monday. The 49ers, they are a team that, I say it every single week, they're one of the hottest teams in the league. They're getting healthy at the right time, and that's exactly what you want going into the playoffs. You want to be fully healthy, and that is what the 49ers are at this point. So Niners to win yet another game. I am not 100% sure if the 49ers, if they can still possibly get that 1 seed. But even if not, they want to keep that number 2 seed, so everybody's playing from start to finish. Cowboys and Commanders, no question the Cowboys are playing everybody. They still have an outside chance at that number 1 seed. Commanders are already out of playoff contention. I'm more concerned with who the quarterback will be for this matchup. Will it be Taylor Heinicke, Carson Wentz, or do they give rookie quarterback Sam Howell a chance? If I'm the Commanders, I'm honestly trying to see what I have with Sam Howell going into 2023. And it's the perfect moment for him. Final game of the year, you got nothing to lose, but you have some things to gain, even though you're not going to the playoffs. You can get some knowledge and some insight with what you have in a rookie quarterback going up against one of the better defenses in the NFL. Cowboys win without a doubt. Everybody's playing. Who knows what the Commanders are doing at this point? Giants-Eagles. Now, Brian Daboll has already confirmed the Giants will not be resting their starters. Despite being the 6th seed, everybody's playing in this game. The Eagles have to win this game to lock up the number 1 seeds. The pressure is on them. They had a chance to clinch the number 1 seed the last 2 weeks, and they have failed to do so. So will the third time be the charm for the Eagles? Pressure's on them because they cannot have their playoff fate in anybody else's hands but their own. So it's in the Eagles' best interest that Jalen Hurts does play in this game, although his status is unknown for this game. I'm picking the Eagles to win. They dominated the Giants earlier in the year. I don't think the Eagles should have any problems with the Giants, despite me saying all season long the Giants are going to have an underrated defense this season, as the Giants' defense is quite underrated. I'm going with Philly, and they will lock up the number 1 seed. Chiefs and Raiders. Raiders eliminated from playoff contention, but they can sabotage a division rival. As the Chiefs, they still have a chance at that number 1 seed in the AFC. But I don't think it matters, though, as Derek Carr left the Raiders last week, so Jarrett Stidham will be the quarterback for the Raiders in this matchup. As the Chiefs, I expect them to win this game. They played the Broncos close last week, but the thing is, more often than not, the Broncos will play the Chiefs close. In fact, I believe the Chiefs have only beaten the Broncos by double digits 5 times since Mahomes took over as a quarterback for the Chiefs. Now, that could be wrong, don't quote me on it, but the Broncos, more often than not, will play the Chiefs close. So that doesn't define the Chiefs as a team heading into this playoffs, but the Chiefs, they'll beat the Raiders. Browns and Steelers. The Steelers still have playoff hopes after Big Boy Najee made a clutch touchdown reception in the final minute against the Ravens. Now the Steelers need to win this game against the Browns, and they need the Bills to beat the Patriots and the Jets to beat the Dolphins. So step 1, win the game. And Deshaun Watson played his best game of the season last week against the Commanders. Now despite that performance, I think the Steelers win this game. So that is step 1 of getting into the playoffs. Now they just need help from the Bills and the Jets. Patriots and Bills. The Patriots are in a win and you're in situation, and they go on the road to take on a Bills team that is going to have a tough time mentally, emotionally, and psychologically to move on after what happened on Monday night, witnessing their teammate, their brother, collapse on the football field, CPR to be administered for nearly 10 minutes. But they do say that sometimes going through something traumatic, it bonds people. And I think they're going to rally together this week, and they're going to dominate this game against the Patriots. It's just tough for them to move on, but they're going to rally together. They're going to get through this together as a unit, and they're going to beat the Patriots. Jets and Patriots. The Jets have been eliminated from playoff contention, while the Dolphins, they need to win this game and have the Patriots lose to the Bills. Now, Skylar Thompson is slated to be the starting quarterback in this matchup. The Jets and Mike White against Skylar Thompson, the third-string quarterback for the Dolphins. This is going to be a tough game to predict, but I am ultimately going to go with the Jets, as the Jets, they are in a position to play spoiler. And when you're in the final week of the season, a team you don't want to play is a team that has the potential of spoiling your playoff hopes. And that is the situation the Jets are in. I think the Jets win this game, and they spoiled the Dolphins season. Ravens and Bengals. Now this game decides the AFC North. The Ravens are in a similar situation than the Eagles. The big question, will Lamar Jackson play in this Week 18 matchup? As the Ravens have already locked up a spot in the playoffs, I think that they will have Lamar Jackson play in this game to an extent. I don't think he plays the entire game. I think they just let him maybe play the first half. There was talks about maybe he could have played last week. But you got to at least give Lamar some snaps, as it's been a long layoff to when he last played. And the last thing you want is to have your starting quarterback start the playoffs on a significantly long layoff. I am picking the Bengals to win this game solely because I think the Ravens, they'll limit Lamar Jackson. If he doesn't play at all, then the Bengals, I think, will definitely win this matchup. I'm going Cincinnati. Titans and Jaguars. A win and you're in game. The winner of this game wins the AFC South and goes to the playoffs. Now the Titans will be starting Joshua Dobbs at quarterback. Derrick Henry missed the game last week, but Derrick Henry's going to play in this game. Well, the Jaguars, they did not have the best performance out of quarterback Trevor Lawrence last week. But part of that was they didn't want to put him at risk, as they knew that this game was going to be the game that decides their playoff fate, whether they won or lost last week against the Texans. And I think the Jaguars, they'll win this matchup. Trevor Lawrence versus a third-string quarterback. Derrick Henry's going to have a monster performance against the Jaguars if they're going to win this matchup. But more often than not, Derrick Henry will dominate against the Texans and Jaguars. They just happen to be facing against the Jaguars. But the Jaguars, they have been hot lately. And that is where you want to be this late in the season. You want to be as hot as possible. And that's what the Jaguars are. The Titans, not so much. So I am picking Jacksonville. Rams and Seahawks. Now this is where I think things are going to get rigged. For the Seahawks to make the playoffs, they need to win this game against the Rams, and they need the Lions to beat the Packers in the final game of the regular season. Now, a Seahawks loss, and all of a sudden, Lions and Packers turns into a win and you're in game. Now, what does the NFL always do for the final week of the season? They flex in a game that has major playoff implications in the Sunday night slot for that final game of the regular season. Now, Why couldn't they put the Titans and Jaguars in that slot when that is, without a doubt, a win and you're in game for both those teams? They had to have Lions and Packers flexed in when only one of those teams is in a win and you're in situation. But if the Seahawks lose, then it all of a sudden turns into the win and you're in game. We all know that the NFL, all they care about is money and ratings. Well, what better ratings to get than to have your final game of the regular season be a win and you're in game? So the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks. It's in the NFL's best interest. Unfortunately, Seahawks fans, you are going to get screwed in this situation. The Rams will win, setting up a Lions and Packers showdown in the final game of the regular season where the winner goes to the playoffs. Week 18 and the regular season wraps up with the Lions and the Packers. For the Lions to have their playoff hopes intact going into this game, they need to have the Seahawks lose to the Rams, which I have already mentioned a minute ago that I think the Rams, they upset the Seahawks, eliminating them from playoff contention and making this a win and you're in game for the Lions and Packers. The Packers, they're in a win and you're in situation. Well, the Lions, they need to have that help from the Rams, and I think they get it. So this becomes a win and you're in game. Now, the Lions, they beat the Packers the first time they played each other this season. But that was in Detroit. This game is in Lambeau, in the cold. Advantage Aaron Rodgers. I think the Packers, they win this game. Now, it was a low-scoring game when they played each other the first time, but I think a lot more points get scored in this game. As the Packers, they've been much better. The Lions have as well, but Operation Run the Table 2.0, it just needs one more step to complete the mission, and I think they get it done. The Lions defense, they have bended a lot, but they haven't broken a lot. But I think they will in this matchup. I think Aaron Rodgers has a big performance, 3 touchdown passes, and he leads the Packers to victory, and they sneak in the playoffs. Now that will do it for my Week 18 predictions. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. As always, have a good day and enjoy the NFL this weekend, the final weekend of the regular season.